Curly Joe Derita bad-mouthed the Stooges until he died. Joseph Wardell, better known by his stage name Joe Derita, was born on July 12, 1909, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His parents were vaudeville performers, and from a young age, Derita was exposed to the world of entertainment. Growing up in such an environment, it was only natural that Joe would follow in his parents' footsteps. His father was a comedian and his mother was a dancer, providing a foundation for his early interest in the performing arts. By the time he was in his teens, Derita was already performing in local theaters, working his way through the tough vaudeville circuit, which was the training ground for many comedians and entertainers of his time. Derita's early career was marked by his versatility as a performer. He could do slapstick comedy, act, sing, and perform physical stunts, which made him a popular act in vaudeville theaters across the country. His comedy was influenced by the broad, physical humor that was so prevalent in vaudeville, and he quickly developed a reputation for being able to make audiences laugh with his expressive face and agile body. During the 1930s and 1940s, Derita performed in various burlesque shows and comedy acts, where he honed his skills and developed a comedic style that combined slapstick with quick wit. His big break came when he joined the Three Stooges in 1958, replacing Joe Besser, who had left the group. The Three Stooges, at that time, had already gone through a number of changes in their lineup. Originally formed by Moe Howard, his brother Shemp, and Larry Fine, the trio had seen the departure and later tragic death of Curly Howard, as well as the return and subsequent passing of Shemp Howard. Joe Besser, who replaced Shemp, was with the group for a short time, but when he left, the Stooges were in need of a new member. Derita's experience in burlesque and slapstick comedy made him a natural fit for the role. When Derita joined, the act was evolving from the classic short films to feature-length movies. His appearance was also slightly different from his predecessors, Curly and Shemp. Derita, nicknamed Curly Joe to align him with the beloved Curly Howard, had a rounder, more amiable appearance, and he often came across as a gentler version of the original Curly. While his comedic style wasn't as wild or boisterous as Curly's, he brought a unique charm to the role, and his ability to execute physical comedy endeared him to fans. He fit into the dynamic of the Three Stooges effortlessly, providing the right balance alongside Moe's aggressive leader persona and Larry's whimsical and often confused character. Derita's contribution to the Stooges is often measured by the success of the group's feature films, which introduced the Stooges to a new generation. Films like The Three Stooges Meet Hercules, 1962, and The Outlaws Is Coming, 1965, became fan favorites and showed that the Stooges, with Derita as a member, could still captivate audiences. Derita's addition to the team helped extend the lifespan of the Stooges well into the 1960s, and his work played a key role in keeping the brand of slapstick comedy alive during a time when many thought it might fade away. Joe Derita, famously known as Curly Joe, was the last addition to the Three Stooges, a comedy team that had already gained widespread fame before he joined. Despite his role in extending the legacy of the group through films and live performances, Derita harbored a lasting bitterness towards the Stooges, particularly over the way he was treated and perceived within the troupe. His resentment became more pronounced in his later years, and until his death, he frequently voiced critical opinions about the group, its dynamics, and the fame they achieved, which he believed came at a personal cost to him. Joe Derita joined the Three Stooges in 1958 after the departure of Joe Besser, stepping into the role once famously held by Curly Howard. The character he portrayed, Curly Joe, was intended to be a milder version of Curly Howard, catering to a new audience in the 1960s. However, Derita was never fully at ease with the slapstick style that had made the original Stooges famous. Unlike his predecessors, Curly Howard and Shemp Howard, who thrived in the chaotic, violent physical comedy, Derita's performance was comparatively subdued and lacked the spontaneity and wildness that fans of the earlier Stooges had come to expect. This contrast between his more controlled comedic style and the raucous humor of the group led to a sense of alienation and frustration for Derita from the start. He often felt overshadowed by the legacy of Curly Howard, who remained an idolized figure among fans. Derita's more conservative slapstick routines didn't resonate as deeply with Stooge loyalists, which may have fueled his growing resentment toward the group. As the years went by, Derita's frustrations deepened, largely due to his lack of recognition compared to the original members. Even though Derita played a significant role in revitalizing the Three Stooges' popularity in the 1960s, particularly with a new generation of fans through their films like The Three Stooges in Orbit and The Outlaws Is Coming, he felt he was never given his due credit. In his view, the public still largely associated the Stooges with the original lineup, particularly the Howard brothers, Moe, Shemp, and Curly, and Larry Fine, even as Derita became a permanent fixture in the later films and live performances. Derita often expressed frustration over the fact that, despite his significant contributions during the later phase of the Stooges' career, he remained in the shadow of the past members. He resented that he was never considered a true Stooge in the eyes of many fans, who viewed his character as a mere replacement for Curly Howard rather than an integral member of the group. Moreover, Derita had little creative control over his role. He frequently clashed with the direction of the Stooges' films and performances, feeling that he could contribute more if given the chance. However, by the time Derita joined, Moe Howard was the de facto leader of the group, overseeing much of the creative process. Derita, as the newest member, had little influence in shaping the comedy or adapting it to his strengths. This power dynamic left Derita feeling like an outsider, despite being a crucial part of the Stooges' resurgence. The lack of agency in his role only added to his disillusionment and sense of being underappreciated. Derita's resentment wasn't limited to the fans' perception of him. It extended to his relationships with the surviving original Stooges, particularly Moe Howard and Larry Fine. Moe, as the leader of the group, was known for being a shrewd and sometimes domineering figure, both on and off screen. Derita often felt that Moe treated him like a subordinate rather than an equal partner in the comedy trio. He believed that Moe and Larry saw him as someone to fill a void left by Curly, and he never truly felt accepted as a full-fledged Stooge. This dynamic led to tensions behind the scenes, with Derita often expressing dissatisfaction with the way Moe ran the group and how decisions were made without his input. Larry Fine, while more easygoing than Moe, also did not seem to bond with Derita in the way the original Stooges had bonded with each other. Derita sometimes felt isolated from the camaraderie that Moe and Larry shared, a camaraderie built over decades of working together. This sense of exclusion contributed to Derita's belief that he was always seen as an outsider, someone brought in to serve a role but never fully embraced as part of the Stooges' inner circle. Financial disputes also played a significant role in Derita's growing bitterness. Like many performers of his era, Derita felt that he was not fairly compensated for his contributions to the success of the later-era Stooges films and performances. Despite the renewed success of the group during the 1960s, when they were performing to packed audiences and releasing films, Derita believed that he did not receive an equitable share of the profits. He was often vocal about feeling shortchanged by the financial arrangements, particularly since Moe, as the head of the group, controlled much of the earnings. Derita's grievances about money created further tension between him and Moe, solidifying the bitterness that would linger for the rest of his life. These financial disagreements were compounded by a growing sense of frustration over the way the Stooges' legacy was managed in the years after their peak popularity. Derita felt that his contributions were consistently undervalued in retrospective accounts of the Stooges' career, and he often expressed disappointment that he was not given the same recognition as Moe, Larry, Curly, or Shemp. This sense of being marginalized, both creatively and financially, left Derita harboring deep grudges that he would carry with him until his death. As Derita grew older, his bitterness towards the Stooges became more public. In interviews, he did not shy away from criticizing his time with the group, often expressing dissatisfaction with how he was treated and his role within the Stooges' legacy. He would frequently downplay his involvement with the group, suggesting that he was merely a hired hand rather than a creative contributor. His comments revealed a deep sense of resentment, not only towards the Stooges themselves but towards the public perception that he was simply riding on the coattails of the original members. These criticisms persisted until Derita's death in 1993, by which point he had distanced himself significantly from the Stooge brand. Despite the success and fame that his involvement with the Three Stooges had brought him, Derita's lasting legacy was tainted by his ongoing bitterness. He viewed his time with the group not as a period of triumph, but as one filled with personal frustrations, disappointments, and feelings of being undervalued. Even as fans continued to celebrate the comedic brilliance of the Stooges, Derita remained an embittered figure, often voicing his discontent with the way he was treated both by his fellow performers and the public. Joe Derita's complex relationship with the Three Stooges serves as a reminder of the often tumultuous dynamics that exist behind the scenes of even the most beloved entertainment acts. While the Three Stooges are remembered fondly by generations of fans, Derita's lingering bitterness underscores the personal sacrifices and unresolved conflicts that can exist beneath the surface of a successful comedic partnership. In terms of his personal life, Derita was known to be a quiet, modest man off stage. Unlike the boisterous persona he portrayed on screen, Joe Derita was more reserved and thoughtful in his personal dealings. He married twice in his life, and by all accounts, he was devoted to his family. Despite the fame that came with being one of the Stooges, Derita preferred a low-key lifestyle. He was not one to seek out the limelight when he wasn't working, and his co-stars often commented on his easygoing nature and professionalism. As the last surviving member of the original Three Stooges troupe, Joe Derita's later years were marked by his efforts to preserve the legacy of the Stooges. He appeared at conventions, fan gatherings, and occasionally in interviews, always appreciative of the fans who still loved the Stooges brand of humor. In many ways, Derita helped ensure that the Stooges' comedy would be remembered, and his role in their history is essential in keeping the spirit of slapstick comedy alive for future generations. Joe Derita passed away on July 3, 1993, at the age of 83, leaving behind a rich comedic legacy. Although he joined the Three Stooges later in their career, his contribution to the group was invaluable. Derita brought his unique style and charm to the trio, blending seamlessly into a comedic act that had already become legendary by the time he joined. His performance as Curly Joe remains a beloved part of Stooge history, and his work continues to entertain audiences worldwide.